Hey, listen, if you needed confirmation that Kendrick Lamar is one of the greater hip hop performers of his time, and also confirmation that he hates Drake's guts, congratulations. Sunday was the perfect opportunity for you to get that. As Kendrick Lamar performed at the Super Bowl halftime show, yes, the Super Bowl that the Philadelphia Eagles won. Now, I've been in a very celebratory mood. But on my side of town, the hip hop space, the talk has been about this show, which had some very high moments and some not so high moments. And I'm hoping we can get to talking about that in a very fair manner. All right. One of the things I noticed is that Kendrick is very intentional about a lot of things that he does. We know that. We can agree on that. So, with that, knowing that in mind, I have to assume that if some of the clashing that I saw was on purpose. And what do I mean by that? I'm talking about the clashing in the visuals versus the clashing in the song choices. I'm talking about the clashing in how he chose to structure his set list, right? I'm talking about the clashing between him as a performer, right? Versus the clashing with Uncle Sam. Yes, Samuel L. Jackson coming in as Uncle Sam, representing Uncle Sam. But also, Samuel L. Jackson was in Django. He was the house, right? Okay, so we got to really think about all these things and talk about it together. And then also talk about what you watch versus what you saw around people in wherever you were watching the Super Bowl, and also what you noticed in the audience, right? We know Samuel L. Jackson was key to the visual and what he represented, right? The show starts off with a gaming setting, gaming controls, right? And you're gonna play this game of America. You're gonna play this game. In my opinion, I thought what I got out of it was playing the game of you're a star. How do you exist in this America? Or you're at the Super Bowl. We got you here because we think you can make this dance. But how do you also play the game of still getting your message across? Those are some of the things that I saw, because if you notice, the visual clearly shows that. You see the representation. How do you play the game of culture versus America's PR, right? PR PC game, right? You got the blue and red homies, Crip and Bloods beefing. That's where you from. But you got the blue and red on the flag, the American flag. Okay, it's all making sense. But then you get this, at this point, you're seeing high emotions, because those visuals are invoking something out of you. But then you see not so high moments in the choice of music. I mean, that starts off with I think there's a bit of whacked out music playing, but also the snippet, the what we're gonna call bodies. That was the one I really was harped on, because you're doing a halftime show, a Super Bowl halftime show, and you chose to do a snippet off an album that's not out yet, and it's pure rap. There's a clash there, right? You'll see that you got the GNX car, and most of America probably doesn't know what that is, because that's the clash. The Super Bowl game, to get picked to do this game, means you got to be really, really relevant in pop culture. You have to have played the game of the poppy music, but then you do bodies. And I think, as I'm sitting there, I'm a rap fan. I'm like, I know that snippet, I know where that's from. But I'm watching the audience where I'm at. Some of them don't. They don't know it. I mean, even some black people, they don't know what that is. All right. And I'm talking people that might know hip hop. They don't know what that is. And then you watch a Super Bowl audience, they don't know what that is. But I think that's specific. If you go back and listen to the words and what he's choosing to say there, that's specific, right? And then throughout that point, as the drivers come out the GNX, you'll notice again, Uncle Sam comes in with his interruption. He's telling them things are too ghetto. You got to play the American game. You got to play the game that America loves. And then choices of music now, I think, goes up to the high moment, because this is the game that Kendrick has been playing before, not like us. 2017 with Damn. Humble is a hit. America knows Humble. America knows some of DNA, right? So you get that energy up, right? But then it clashes again with the visuals of the red, white, and blue, right? So that's intentional. You may not have understood that, but for me, because I have this notion about who Kendrick is as an MC, because I study this hip hop thing, I know that he knows that for us sitting at home who can't afford this show, for us that are not, maybe consciously aware of the game, but we know that something is off. How is hip hop the most listened to songs, but y'all don't want to listen to hip hop with lyrics? It's weird, right? I'm sorry, hip hop is the most listened to genre, but you guys don't want to listen to hip hop with lyrics. He that's on purpose. Now, here for me is not a high moment, right? And you know what? That part is actually a little bit in contradiction to what I'm saying, but I think Kendrick wanted to invoke this. When you start doing that euphoria portion, where I was like, oh, this feels out of place. Like, I know it. So the hip again, speaking for me, because he knows, like, oh, you watching at home. You can't afford to be like, I'm like, okay, that's rap, because we know the body shocks that Euphoria was, those we thought were the effective parts before you start doing the not like us stuff and obviously Meet the Grams, right? And then he goes in again and then does Man at the Garden. Again, rebel, it's like Rebel. Now, obviously, Man at the Garden, you could argue that that's a much more, I guess, personal song that has nothing to do with the beef, right? And we're gonna get to the beef in a second. But again, Rebel again, and you notice that Uncle Sam comes in and he's not happy. In fact, you know, when you see these stage settings changes, you notice he had the homies that was incarcerated. Again, the message, but it's not what America wants to see. Uncle Sam deducts a point, and then, but he rebels again. Does peekaboo with AZ's verse? Is it AZ Chic? AZ Chic? The Rebel again, and you got the clip going on online of him being happy that Kendrick decided to do his verse. You understand what I'm saying? The weirdness, conflict, and clash of the whole thing, that depending on what lens you're looking at it from, it may seem like a high moment and not so high moment. Like here, this is his transition to get to the ladies, but he teases not like us, right? And because I think Kendrick is very aware that what the power of that record, I wouldn't say he's not proud of the record or anything like that. I would love to have a conversation with him about this. I think he knows the power of the record. I think he knows that it's part of why he's here. And he understands that most people in the crowd would know that. So he teases that and says, you know, I want to perform this song, but he loves to sue. Again, shot at Drake, right? And this is a good strategic way to get to the ladies, and which he did. And as he transitions to the ladies, high moments vocally here, maybe the visuals take a back seat. Shout out to SZA. I think she fit very well. All red, looking real good, you know what I'm saying? Dancers also looking real good. Stage setting changes. Everything looks good, but the vocals take a little bit of an uptick here and they carry the show. And then see here is, if you're doing this from a critic standpoint, you could deduct points from Kendrick and say, hey, you know, these records, this is not one of your stronger points. And that's why SZA's here, because she does Luther. They do all the stars. But remember, again, rap performance, when we're going to see more of them, he performs this, right? He wrote some of these records, but he doesn't have the vocal capability to do that. And that's because Kendrick's a pure rapper. But just the way he transitions to it, you can tell that it's somebody that understands the game. And I think this is where I see the crowd around me, and I see the crowd on the stage start getting a little more upbeat, because they know Luther's popping on TikTok. They know all the stars because of the Black Panther stuff, right? Which, again, Uncle Sam comes in and says, yeah, this is what America wants, right? This is what America wants. But then Kendrick does the transition. And that transition is when he starts talking about cultural divide. And I think he starts giving you more clues about the game. And then he mentions the 40 acres and a mule, and this is intentional. He says, you know, I'm going to play the game, but you're going to get some of this. You're going to get some of this medicine. And then you hit it out like us stuff, and the crowd erupts. And this is the part where I say, hey, dog, listen, if you want to say, bro hates Drake's guts, that's cool. This is where you get a lot of that. And now, when we say very high moment here, the contrast to that is, your high moment, this peak part, this is going to be on your career, right? I gotta talk about this. Is say Drake, right? You're one of your bigger moments, right? Just remember, it's gonna be attached to your arch nemesis. And I got a feeling that the petty side of him probably prefers it that way, because maybe he felt like he never wanted to play this game. But if he was gonna play this game, he was gonna drag this guy down with him. Now about the A chain, guys. Could be some double entendre there, but that is the A that is on the PG lane. But a lot of people are saying it's a minor A minor, right? Another, I guess, surprise here would be Serena Williams crip walking. This one, again, it touches back to when Serena's famous crip walking back on a tennis court. But again, a tribute to Drake. You go back, Drake and Serena's history. You don't see some of that stuff, but the double entendre is there for Kendrick, right? And then there are more transitions to songs that we know, right? Which is the TV off, the mustard part. Everybody knows that. But again, playing the game, right? Where he specifically does the third part of TV off after the mustard part that everyone knows. I like that choice because it was the most aggressive rapping portion of the song. See, he could have probably went the first verse, but he revolted. This whole Super Bowl halftime show was about revolt. It was about clashing. The clashing of, I know you guys respect me as an artist, and I'm going to show you that. But I also know it's this whole thing with Drake that kind of got me here. I'm going to revolt, and I'm going to play the